Hey, this is the Hellion from the Hellion Rocks. I'm honored to have Michael Sweet from Stryper back on my show. Michael, how are you today?
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Excellent for being a Monday.
Excellent for being a Monday. Mondays aren't too bad. I think they're overrated.
Yeah, sometimes. But I know you're pressed for time, so let's jump into this. So
Sure.
last Monday, I got a good present in my email box, the new Stryper record, and I downloaded it, and I have an hour and a half commute for my day job, so
Yeah.
I put it on my stereo on the way home, and I found myself listening, and track one went by, and then track two following. I found myself I stopped and says, "What did I just hear?" So I backed the track up and listened to it again. And I found myself doing that throughout the whole record. Unbelievable.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. Well, you know what? We go in and we record an album with the hopes that that's going to be the reaction. And, sometimes it's hit or miss. You do something you think is going to be powerful and exciting, and then you miss the mark. I think with No More Hell to Pay, we hit the mark, and I think with this one, we hit the bullseye. And it thrills me to hear you say that, because that's why we do this. We want to blow people away with not just the music, but the message as well. And to realize, like, we're still alive, we're still around, we're still relevant, we're still doing this 32 years later. And man, it feels like and sounds like we're making some of the best music of our careers, which is pretty amazing.
Well, you said you hit the bullseye. Now I'm going to go up one on that. You guys destroyed the bullseye with this record.
Well, hey, man, you know what? Look, we do our best to always outdo ourselves. I personally don't understand the bands that release albums where you got to scratch your head and ask the question, like, what were they thinking? What was the point? I don't like to release anything unless it's, the best of the best and our best, without cutting any corners. And I feel like Fallen is that, or we wouldn't have released it. We would have got it right and changed the release date and scheduled it to a later time if that was the case. But we felt like, wow, this is it. This is the one. There's nothing to improve upon here. This is the album we're supposed to release, and we couldn't be more proud of it, man. Really couldn't be.
Well, one of the things that about Fallen, besides the great playing, great song structure, the production quality is outstanding. There's a lot of people out there making records these days, in their garage, in their home studio, and I hear a lot of stuff that lacks that powerful production. You guys nailed that as well.
Well, man, thank you, buddy. I've been kind of, making up for lost time as a producer these days. I've had the opportunity to produce pretty much everything Stryper's done since we returned, and I've been kind of, perfecting my craft as a producer. And I really came into my own with No More Hell to Pay, and then I think even more so with Fallen, and then the Sweet and Lynch album as well. I produced that as well, and I've got this system down where I've learned how to do it, and I know how to do it, and I go to a particular studio, the same place every time, same engineer, and I'm very happy with the results. And yeah, I think the albums sound really great. Fallen, we did a little different. We stayed in the digital realm, like No More Hell to Pay, but the difference is we tracked through an analog console, an MCI, old MCI console, which is the same one that Iron Maiden tracked through. And what that did was it gave us a little bit bigger low end. The low end response, the bass response is a little bigger and a little more powerful.
It definitely shows. To me, I love analog stuff. There's a certain warmth that analog brings to recording, and that explains a lot to me right there about the sound I'm hearing.
Absolutely, there's no question about it. And if you know how to do it and use it, it does bring a warmth to it. If you were to, a lot of people these days are going back to analog completely and tracking to, analog 2-inch tape and through all the analog, outboard gear and whatnot. that's tricky. You want to be careful because to get albums as loud as they need to be, comparable to the other albums around it on the radio, when you track analog, you can get into distortion real fast. So it's a fine line. But yeah, that's why we merged the two. You know, we tracked through an analog console, but we went into Pro Tools and stayed in the digital realm in that regard.
Perfect. You know, it worked out great. You know, I've got to tell you that I have a lot of friends that they'd hop in the truck with me, and I'd put on the track just to Fallen, for example, the song, just to get a reaction. And these people I know didn't really listen to a lot of Stryper. And I wish I would have taken pictures of their faces when I told them, when they're listening to the song, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is Stryper. And you wouldn't believe the look I got, you know, and these people were like, I can't believe that they're that good of players. What did I miss out on all these years? So I think that this is going to garner you guys a whole crop of new fans.
Well, you know what's funny? I think most of the time these people have a preconceived idea of what they think we are, you know, which isn't always a positive thing. You know, they think we can't rock because we're Christian guys, or we're wimpy, or we're this, or we're that. No, they throw out Bibles. You know, it's going to be bad, this and that. And when they come and see us or they hear us, usually 9 out of 10 times they become fans because they can't believe what they're seeing or what they're hearing. And you don't know how many times I've heard that.
I can believe it. And I'm one of those guys. You know, I really, way back, far too long for me to really want to remember. I got invited to go with a friend to a Stryper show back in the day, and I have been listening to you guys ever since. You know, based upon the feel of the music, you know, the message you guys had, just the overall quality of everything. You know, that hooked me in and kept me listening for, you know, like I said, a long time.
Wow, well, that's awesome, man. That's so great to hear. That's great.
Oh, I hear your bird in the background.
I know, man. It's not my bird. It's that darn Periscope app.
Oh, gotcha. Thought you had a cool bird there. But
no.
So your album, Fallen, is going to drop this Friday, and I've already got a bunch of people chomping at the bits to get it because, you know, I'm fortunate and I had a review copy, which my review is coming out. I'm going to put it out Friday. But, you know, getting back into the record itself, it really does have that good organic flow that you can only get from jamming out in the studio with the guys. That I'm guessing that's how that went with you.
Absolutely, and you know it's really important to be in the same place with the musicians at the same time. I mean, a lot of records are made these days where they get passed around, and one guy tracks his parts, and it gets sent via Hightail or Dropbox or whatever, and the next guy out in LA tracks his parts, and blah blah blah. And that works sometimes. I did an album with George Lynch that way, where I tracked the drums. Oh, thank you. I tracked the drums and the bass and my parts in one studio, but George did all his stuff out in L.A. So sometimes you do what you got to do. But it's not the preferable. I don't prefer to do it that way. I prefer to do it where everyone's in the same room, and that's how the Stryper album was made. We were all in the same studio at the same time.
And I think, you know, back in the day when we had more heartfelt music, you know, that seemed to be the norm, you know, and I think that music lost some of its warmth and compassion, and it became a little bit sterile when you got, you know, people in different areas recording. I think there's a magic that happens between, you know, a band member sitting there looking at each other in the studio. I think that fire, that passion adds to the record.
I agree. And you know what it is, too? There's a fun. There's a certain level of fun that actually translates over to the recordings. You're having a good time, and, you know, if Oz is tracking his guitar and I'm in the studio, like saying, yeah, that's great, man, you know, try this, and we're working off of each other. He's having fun and smiling. We're getting a cup of coffee, and we're excited. And, oh, let's go hear it, you know, and that really somehow gets into the recordings themselves.
It does. It shows. Another point that I want to talk to you about is and I'm completely floored by the fact that your voice is still as powerful as it is. How do you keep that going, man?
Oh man, you know what? I just keep singing, and I enjoy singing. And I always try to approach a song not just trying to hit the notes or remember the words, but I try to approach it to sing from the heart. You know, you have to emote, and the emotion has to be there. And if it's not, the listener is not going to feel that. And that's really important to me as well, to really sing with a passion and an emotion that's going to grab the listener.
It does. You have not lost a bit of your power and range. I'm again astounded that for the time that we're not going to talk about how long it's been, you've been making records that it still has that power and energy.
Well, thank you, buddy. I'm continuing to try, and I think we've got a lot left in us. And there's a lot more to come, and I can't wait to do it. But I'm looking forward to outdoing Fallen on the next album, and I know Stryper can do it.
I think so too, man. It's like you guys filled up the gas tank, put your foot down, and hit the afterburners with this record. And I don't see any going back. Now, speaking of that, Fallen is coming out, like I said, Friday. What are we looking at for touring?
Well, we're talking about a tour, an extensive tour from April to November of next year, and going everywhere. I mean, we're talking about going to Europe, South America,
nice.
The U.S., Canada, maybe even Japan and Korea, maybe Australia. I mean, we're hoping to get to everywhere that we need to go. There are a few countries we've never been to, China, Russia. Maybe we can get there as well. But there's a lot of touring that's going to take place. It's going to be an exhausting year, but we're excited to get out there and play these songs for people live.
Now, I've seen you guys play it several times live. Always a bombastic show. I'm sure you guys have something big planned for the Fallen tour.
We do, man. We got to change up the set. We got to really do some new songs and break things up. We've been playing, pretty much the same set for the past 10 years, for the most part. So that's something we got to do is really change it up, and we plan to do that. We're going to bring in some of these great songs live, like Yahweh. We're going to add to the set. Can't wait to play that one live. And hopefully just have some surprises where people come and see us and go, wow, I did not expect that whatsoever.
Nice. Given the state of the world today, all the chaos and everything, and we need a positive message. And, Stryper has always been a feel-good band to me. If I'm having a bad day, I can put on a Stryper record. That makes it that much better. And I hope more people could pick up on that. We're trying with, our independent internet radio shows and stuff like this to spread the word of everybody in the music community needs to pull tight and be happy and spread positive message.
Absolutely, and that's exactly why we do what we do, because we want to, inspire people. It's a negative world we live in. There's a lot of garbage going on out there and being poured out on the streets daily. And you know what? Stryper's trying to clean it up and be a light in the dark, man. And we've been doing that for a long time, and that's the whole purpose of Stryper. It really is.
And it does hit home when people put aside their prejudgment and just listen. It does work. It does reach a lot of people. And I from the heart, got to thank you for what you've done for the past several years.
Hey, thank you, brother. We do it, man, because we mean it. And, we're excited about continuing on. We feel like there's so much more to do, and we're in our prime, and there's a lot more to do, man, a lot more work to do. Can't wait. We're thrilled.
And, yeah, you and I are the same age. I don't want to disclose that on air. But, we've...
So you're only 32 as well? You're only 32 as well? Wow.
That's it, man. I didn't want to let it out, but yeah, we've seen a lot in our lives. And, some people in our age group can just decide to sit down and take it as it is, or they can go out and try to, prove that there's people out there that care and that want to bring a positive impact to the world. And You know,
Yeah,
there's
man.
more of us than we think.
Absolutely. And I tell you, man, we're grateful for you for, interviewing us and playing us and being there, waving that Stryper flag, man. We need all the help we can get, and thank you for giving it to us, man, and supporting us.
Oh man, thank you for giving it back. I know you're coming up against it. Got a lot more interviews other to do. Right now, I have readers and listeners in 150 plus countries. Michael, the floor is yours to tell the world what you want to tell them.
Well, you know what? We're so humbled and blessed to be sitting here 32 years later doing this. We want to thank the listeners for listening and for supporting us and for getting our albums and coming to the shows and keeping us alive and keeping us out there, because we wouldn't be here without all of you. It's just that simple. And we know that. We're very grateful for it. We hope that our music touches you and inspires you more than just a typical rock show or rock album. We hope that the lyrics go in and stay in and inspire you to do good things and do bigger and better things. And that's why we're here. God bless you guys. Thanks for always listening. Thanks for being there for us. And we look forward to 32 more years, man. We got it in us. So hopefully you do as well. And we'll see you out there on the road.
Right on. So, guys, this Friday, October 16th, out on Frontier Records, brand new Stryper. It's called Fallen. I would recommend you guys pick this up, pick up a couple other copies and give them to your friends, because it's that good. This is the Hellion from the Hellion Rocks, talking to Michael Sweet from Stryper. We're out.